Well. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. Let's all say hello to my good friend, my iron brother. I've known him for a long time. He hated me when we first met each other. He yelled at me at the airport, but then we ended up becoming very close, and he actually coached me for the Ironman one year. Milos, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Armon. King,
What's
I love you.
Milos? How are you?
Yeah, good. And it's true. You came under my skin just like you did to so many people back at that time, and you're doing a great job. Until people get to know you, they don't really understand. You can do this for a show. You can do this for a reason, and you did a hell of a job. You would be a great UFC fighter.
Oh, appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
There's only one problem. I'll be biting people's noses off and poking their eyeballs. Okay.
No, I mean, in sense of hyping up the fight, you hyped up every competition you ever went to. Yeah, I remember. Guys hated you. Melvin, Dennis. Everybody. Craig.
Well, we all ended up becoming good friends.
Yeah. I mean,
so we're gonna do this a little bit different, Milos. As I explained to you at our pre-show, I've watched you. You're the king of podcasts. You've been on every podcast known to mankind. We also know that right now you're affiliated with the UFC. Congratulations on that. Everybody, there's a lot of haters out there who are probably contacting you for tickets all the time and all that. I get it. I totally get it. But we're going to keep this on a different level. I'm going to ask you questions that are going to make you uncomfortable.
Okay.
Drugs, they have nothing to do with insulin and that kind of stuff. We're going to put that aside. We'll weave that into the whole discussion, but this is something a little bit different. Are you down?
I'm down. Listen, if you speak the truth, you shouldn't be ashamed. If truth shall kill them, let them die, right? Correct. That's how it is. If people don't like the truth, hey, that's my opinion, and that's why I say it.
Okay.
I have zero filters.
So here we go. I'm going to say it. We're going to have a 3-minute time limit. Armon's going to give his opinion after you say whatever you got to say, and then we're going to keep moving. We're going to go dive right into it. If all of these men are 100% at their best, Hadi, Samson, Derek, Andrew, how do you put them in the Olympia? At their best. All of them at their best.
I mean, but, okay, so relatively speaking, Samson best might not be still enough to beat Hadi's best because Samson was never in that kind of condition. If the equal level of conditioning, then you see, if you say it like this, if it's equal level of conditioning, then who wins? Samson wins. Andrew is second. I would say Hadi and then Derek. If it's same level of conditioning, which we know it's not going to happen.
Now, I'm glad you said that. That's not what I'm asking you. We all know what Samson can and will bring. We all know what Andrew can and will bring. Same thing for Derek and for Hadi. I'm talking about if every one of these guys was 100% at their own level, how do you place them?
I think that Hadi is still Hadi. I mean, the level of conditioning that he brings, that Arnold Classic was really eye-opener. He has everything. So I talk about superhumans, Excaliburs, the superhero look that not too many people have. and Andrew and Samson definitely have. That kind of size, height, weight, width, shape, everything. If they are greatly conditioned, how can you touch them? Two shorter guys should not be able to touch them. Okay. But then if you filter just from conditioning aspect of bodybuilding, it's a conditioning contest.
Correct.
So balance, shape, aesthetics, size, thickness. From conditioning standpoint, conditioning is not just dryness. In a new report of Tyler Mannion explaining FIBO, he talks about Sasan being greatly conditioned, dry, but flat. So all kind of things that you put in. Hadi can be flat throughout the chest, and Hadi does not have a crazy back striations detail, also hamstring glutes. Okay, he's going to lose this to Derek big time. Okay, from the front, Derek doesn't have any detail here that he can lose to, detail Hadi for sure. Samson and Andrew being so much bigger, so much wider, and all that stuff, you have to attract attention. But Andrew didn't have a legs at the Arnold, and didn't have a hamstring really, and didn't have that conditioning of Derek. So Derek has a crazy conditioning from the back. Hadi has a crazy conditioning from the front.
Correct.
Okay. Andrew has a very good conditioning detail from the front, right? And scale down from the back. I mean, Andrew can get away, with so conditioning from the front because he has a deep abs, intercostals, striated chest. He has feathers on the quads. I think at Arnold Classic, his quads were so much down that created disbalance, and that's why he was not a factor. Andrew, 2023 Arnold was greatly conditioned, but smaller. Again, smaller in leg department, and that creates disbalance. So, listen, if I'm a judge, for me, shape, aesthetics, and balance is the king. I am hashtag bodybuilding. I'm not hashtag muscle building and a hashtag conditioning. Because conditioned body that is not beautiful body should not be beating good body.
Okay, Armon.
So, Milos, when you worked with Samson, was, everybody talked about his potential and all that. Was he, in his conditioning, all that, was he not willing to do that? We all, King and I talk about suffering all the time. Nobody's willing to suffer anymore. Was he having an issue with the suffering, with the diet part, or is he just had one of those guys that is just really hard to get on point 100% with the conditioning?
Look, it's very hard to talk about. There's going to be like a sour grapes, and I'm going to talk something now. But listen, when you're not in condition and your coach calls you 6 weeks out and say we have to turn it up, and you don't want to listen, okay, because don't listen to the noise and all that stuff. I said, look, Samson knows that I appreciate his body so much. I told him, if you're in condition, nobody can beat you. That was my statement 4 years ago, 3 years ago. It's right now. He was under belief that if he can come close to Hadi's conditioning, he doesn't have to really be in his conditioning, he could beat him. Which judges gave him 2023 at Arnold Classic over Nick and Andrew? That was also not crazy conditioning. This was, nice conditioning, but far away from what King Kamali would achieve in his crazy conditioning when he was at that Ironman. So I cannot compare your conditioning with Samson winning 2023, right? It was not same level of conditioning, but that body would beat your body because of attributes that he has. So, people would say that, okay, maybe it's my fault that I didn't dial him in. We all know how to get lean. You're going to have fish and vegetables and do the cardio for extended period of time. And anybody's going to get ripped, right? So is this something that I didn't know to tell him maybe we should cut down? No. But it didn't happen. And then when I was evaluating, and, some people like to be criticized and some people can't take the criticism. And, I would say he was more into the category of not wanting to hear anything but praises.
And I'll attest to that too, Armon. I'll definitely say that Milos never, ever, ever, ever told me, even though I would call and text him and say, hey, what's going on? Try to get information out of him. He would always have, just give me a little bit, but not too much. But he would always say, I am doing and telling him everything he needs to do to win. To me, that was telling me he's not willing to suffer. And you know what, Milos? I will say it if you won't say it. When I was 3 weeks out, my eyes were rolling back in my head. I had to tell my training partner to smack me when I'm doing my cardio because I couldn't keep my eyes open. I would do my cardio like this because I was so tired I couldn't keep my eyes open. The new generation are not willing to do it. Now, who is willing to do it? The Iranians. You know why? Because they got nothing. They have to walk to the gym. They don't have money for food. They suffering to them is normal. That is why Iranians come into condition that the genetics has something to do with it, but that's why. Hadi, his whole story, I know his story. He was shit on, spit on. People fucking didn't give him a chance. They called him retard, whatever. He had to grind and grind and grind. So when he's not getting his visa and comes 2 days before the show, he doesn't care. To him, that's normal. He's like, what is this? I got 2 clients right now that are competing in 2 days. One of them just went through an earthquake, didn't have anything, lost, couldn't even go and get her luggage. She had to go buy new shit from their version of Target in Turkey just so she can go to Moscow. I promise you she's going to be the hardest girl on that stage. Same with my other guy, Iman. He's going to be the fucking hardest guy. And he just called me up and said, I haven't eaten in 6 hours. They detained him at the airport. You know what? He didn't complain. He just said, what do you want me to do? That's it. That's the difference between suffering and not suffering.
And, Milos, you had all these, great competitors over years and years and years. What's been the change in the last 10 years? Will these guys just do not want to suffer? They do not want to listen. Like we talked about Samson before, King and I, like when he won the Olympia, he was like 2 days out going to a shooting range, being 2 days out. And I was thinking, how could you be 2 days out? Like maybe your mind's like, I can't stay in my hotel. I can't sleep still. I'm going to cheat. Or I just don't understand the mentality about these guys. You're at this elite top level. You can't just suffer to just, I just don't understand the mentality. And you work with these top guys. And so when you're telling Samson, like, hey, we got to, kind of, push a little bit more. And he's pushing back and saying, no, I think I'm good where I'm at. Is that kind of what he's saying? How does that work?
Well, put it this way. Like when old timers, like we talk about our suffering and what we did, the new generation doesn't want to hear it. And blah, 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 blah. We suffered because that was a way to do it. People in 80s suffered and people in 90s, we suffered. You're not ready until you have a cellophane skin. As Samir Banud says, if you have 24 karat gold on your skin, right? There is another level. There is another level. There's another level. But when you never achieve that level and you look at yourself and you have a Samson's body, which is like, okay, this body cannot be beaten, right? And he probably believes it, right? He didn't have to be in Hadi's condition to beat Hadi or Derek's condition, he's so much bigger, so much wider, everything is there. So I could see it. Him going to the shooting range, for Armor Classic, I went with him. He just wanted to occupy his mind. Listen, it's easy for us to say we used to it and we know how to deal with it. Some people need distractions, okay? I'm all into 100% in it. Don't look left and right. You're just straight. But I even went with him on a shooting range that once before the Armor Classic, and he was still not in a top condition. Now, mind you, I'll ask you, when you're 300 pounds, okay, going into the show and you're not peeled, isn't the message that, okay, listen, I can lose 20 pounds. Okay, I'm still not there. I need to suffer. I need to do more cardio. I need to drop the carbs. I need to turn on to the fish. All kinds of things, right? It's not a rocket science. We would all say the same thing, right? King, if you have now Samson 6 weeks out and he's not in shape, what would you do?
Double up on the cardio, white fish and vegetables.
Exactly. Okay. So it's not like, ooh, I didn't know that. Oh, he doesn't know that. But, he was not willing to do it at the time. Probably now that they're doing it on their own, when he left after Arnold Classic and he made considerable changes for the Arnold Classic UK, maybe his wife finally told him, you know what, you're going to have to suffer. And then he suffered and he looked better. And at Olympia, he looked very, very good. Again, that was not hottest conditioning. That was not spectacular conditioning, but it was enough with all the attributions that he has, that beautiful body. He looked convincing, but he lost the conditioning contest to Hadi at Olympia again.
Milos, did you create Samson?
I won't say that.
I'll say it.
No, far from it. Listen.
I'll say it. I'll say it. You did. Because I've looked at the pictures. I saw Samson's pictures leading up every year until you met him. And after you met him, I saw the transformation. You are too nice of a guy. I've had this argument with you 100 times. 100. I've always said, Milos, I wish you had 5% of the meanness that I have. And you're like, no, peace and love, King, peace and love. Are you to that point now? Have you finally gotten to the point now you realize that some people need to get smacked around once in a while?
Well, listen, if you do something from your heart and you make a difference and they don't acknowledge it, what is for me to say? Ooh, I made him? No, I didn't lift weights for him. I didn't diet for him. But I think he made some post. Some people can point you to direction, but you are the one that is opening the door. Something in that sense. And I completely agree. Listen, I could only give him information, but what is the right information given to the talent. Okay. So he exploded with a new growth from an average competitor that was not placing anywhere, right? Became a top contender overnight. We did like 13 shows back to back to back. And that's another thing, okay. If somebody would take a whole year off and come back, he was super active, and Samson is the type that when he would finish the contest, when he gets off, that means off. He would not take a TRT, bridge, or whatever connecting. He would get off. So he kept improving. He's improving now. And listen, Samson's going to probably listen to this anyway. I have nothing but love for them, and I hope they can achieve the highest level. I know that I made a difference from the bottom of my heart because first there was a promise that Mountain Dog, John
Meadows.
John Meadows. Sorry, John. My brain stopped for a second. John Meadows wanted me to train him. And, as soon as I heard it, I accepted. And he wanted him to be at Olympia. He probably didn't see Olympia potential. I was saying on Fuad's podcast right away, 2022, end of 2022, when he asked, can Samson be Mr. Olympia? Of course he can. When you see that structure, bone structure and the shape, and then ability to grow, right? Which that ability is still there and he is improving. If he gets conditioned, then he wins the contest. But if he brings the level of conditioning even from last year's Olympia, that might not be enough because Derek and especially Hadi can out-condition him very easily.
Who's winning the Olympia this year?
I would say Samson in the shape of his life. Yeah.
Okay. Good answer. I say the same thing. And now, if Samson's watching this, which he will, even though I don't like the way he treated you, I think he disrespected you. This is bodybuilding. We're commentators. Armon's a commentator. I'm a commentator. You got to have thick skin. I will put you down. If I think that you're doing something wrong, I will say it. So will Armon. And I'm still saying you will win, Samson. Even though I was putting you down a couple minutes ago, because I thought what you did was a bitch thing, it was a bitch maneuver, what you did to Milos. I still think, I agree with Milos. If you come in the shape of your life, you will win again. Armon, who's winning the Olympia?
Well, we a lot of people didn't know what was going on. Like, everybody was like looking out from the, outside in, and like what's going on with Samson. Why isn't he giving Milos all this credit that, because every time I would see Milos on a podcast, Milos, you could tell, you just weren't his coach. You loved him. Like you wanted to see the best for this guy. Even when y'all weren't working together, you wanted to see the best for him. You believed in him. And I just don't understand the whole, I mean, we've all coached people, not at that level, King and I and all, that we've put so much into a person, and it's so disappointing when they do something like go off to another coach for no reason, go on their own, just kind of treat you like your relationship all the times you went together was just kind of like nothing. And I don't think a lot of people got clarity. You can talk about it if you want to or not, but with the wife thing and coach thing, I thought that was a little silly, and I thought that was disrespectful totally to you, but
Yeah.
we could pass it up. It's up to you, Milos. Just a lot of people still don't really know or kind of understand that whole deal.
When you say something again, you sound like a sour grapes, and like, oh my God, you disrespected Marlena. I love Marlena. She's a good lady. She's perfect for Samson. I'm happy they're married. I kind of I remember that the last time when we were at the sushi place, and they were still not married. It's like, why are you guys waiting to get married? And shortly after they did get married. They're a perfect couple. Okay. Now, Marlena knows quite a bit about bodybuilding, quite a bit more than average woman. But as I was saying before, I'm going to say it, and again, there was, oh my God, you're jealous or something like that. She being competitor in one show in her life, preparing female body for a female show, she could not have a knowledge and experience about anything to coach men, bodybuilder, elite bodybuilder like Miss Olympia. Did you do the cycles to know about the cycles? Do you know anything about how they react? Do you know anything about preparing Mr. Olympia competitor? Of course, she can't possibly, right? Being with him and being prepared by John Meadows first, and then with me at 12 shows, you have a blueprint of everything and anything. And she is the one that sees him every day and knows a lot. She can tell the differences.
Yes.
I use her quite often when we were talking, right? And see him, she would tell me her honest opinion. One thing is screen and the other thing is live. She would tell me, yeah, Milos, you never looked this good. He's bigger, he's better, he's tighter, the harder separation hamstring, blah, blah, blah. And I listened to her. We were kind of team. So if she listened to this, again, it's no disrespect to say you cannot be possibly a coach, experienced coach, when you didn't coach any man. And if you coach your husband because he's your husband and he's in the same house and you see him in the same gym and now you have that experience, all power to you. But that's extent of how can she possibly know anything about cycles, about pharmacology, about man's physiology, So that's about it.
Perfect answer.
She did a great job. I mean, she or look, does Samson needs a coach? So here is the thing. If you did 20 professional shows already, you can very well know how to coach yourself. You know how your body responds to this, and that, right? So, coach would be a second eye, and maybe if he needs to learn something. I hope that Samson learned a lot, and Marlena, through working with me. I failed to bring him ripped to the bone, ripped and dry on the stage. Okay, I failed. I didn't bring him to the condition that you guys would consider wow. But okay, now might as well, when you're opening can of worm, I'm going to say it. How do we get dry or drier? Okay, there is a certain level of dehydration methods that we apply, right?
Correct.
And when somebody is not willing to do them, then what do you do? When you are 300 pounds and 70% of that is water, and you're still holding water, and you're not willing to drop because you're afraid, what can I say, right? And there was many shows that I would be in a room, and I say, okay, he needs to get drier, and he would flip, go away, and then she would tell me, like, why do you say that? I said, he needs to get drier. So the whole thing, and might as well I'm going to say it, the night that they started at the Arnold Classic. He's losing to Hadi Chapman, obviously, right? It's a $300,000 first prize. He's close second. Okay, he needs to dry out. So I come to the room to say, like, look, throughout the day, if you're not getting drier, I have an agent that we never used before, diuretic, that can make a big difference. Okay, and as soon as I said it, he stormed out, slammed the door, and he says he's pulling out. And then his wife telling me, like, how can you say the day of the, and then end up being that he was dangerously dehydrated, end up in a hospital, and all these stories, right? That people are going to look at me and say, like, oh, I'm that evil coach that did something. He was doing diazides only, and there was little by little, right? He needed, at that time, something dramatically stronger. Okay, we see the examples of, last contest, FIBO, Andrew Jack, prejudging and finals, night and day difference.
Right.
What do you think? He went to sauna, went to somewhere to pray to lose water. You do what you're supposed to do. This is extreme game that we are in, right? And many times I know that Samson was diuretic away from, maybe being all different.
Okay, which brings us to all three of us have coached and are still coaching. It puts us in an impossible situation, because if we do it, then we're being a good coaches. But if we don't do it, we're not being good coaches. You don't know what you're doing. You should have gone. I mean, it is an impossible situation, which I always say to people at the beginning, I am going to suggest to do something. It will be up to you if you want to do it or not, but I'm just suggesting this is what I would do if I were you. That is the way you run. Okay, so we discussed that.
I mean, that's the whole point of a coach. You hire a coach to listen to. If Milos is telling him that, like, I don't understand the mentality. How do you get mad to slam the door? It's like, hey, this is what we need to do to make this difference. You're going to go out there and look crazy. Was he scared of the health aspect, or was he scared of coming in too flat?
No, he was sincerely scared about the health. Okay. And when you sense that, then what is for you to say? Okay, and might as well, now that I never talk about it, might as well when I'm opening can of worms. That's exactly how it is. Olympia 2023. I come Friday morning and I say, okay, we're going to need to dry out. And they had a flip, And then she was saying, you don't say somebody the day of the contest that he's not in shape. I say it's a morning, Friday. Prejudging is the evening. He's not dry. Of course, he needs to get drier. What do you want me to say? Things of that nature. And this last contest that basically, break us apart. If you and I would love nothing more, but you guys have him on the podcast, and even better with me in it, because that I don't play games, I don't talk shit. It's the truth, the ultimate always. I don't have to remember the truth. When I did talk to him that one time only, he was, oh, you don't remember what you said, like what you did? I say, yeah, I remember everything. Like I told him to do something. So which diuretic did I tell you to take? Which diuretic? Oh, but you brought, I brought many. And I said, if need be throughout the day, maybe we should not go just with the diazide that obviously doesn't pull enough. Maybe we can do something stronger. They could make a difference, but we never even got there. And this is why we basically separated our ways. The problem is that all of us coaches, Armon, King, and myself and everybody else, we are not medically licensed to give medical advice, which becomes a really burden. And then, oh my God, what now? You don't supposed to say anything. You are politically correct. So you said, I'm going to tell you and you decide, right? This is extreme sport. We don't tell them to take steroids, but they take steroids, GH or insulin or this and that, right? This is extreme sport. It's given they're already taking it.
Yeah.
And pre-contest, I mean, I would say that I respect a couple of guys don't use diuretics. Okay, couple of guys. John Jewett, for example, he had it to a science, and I mean, he achieves crazy conditioning. I'm super impressed. But in general, even when there was diuretic tested contest, you remember 97, the 2001, 2001, Jay Cutler failed on 5 diuretics. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay, that's 2000. Since 1997, they had a diuretic testing. I supposedly failed in Night of Champions, which I didn't. I use pyretinide that was not on the list. Vendemila called me, yeah, I have a bad news. You failed the test. I said, it's impossible, And then I said, it's not on the list. But anyway, so 2001, when Jay made a stink, they backed off. And now everybody could use anything. So I don't know what you guys use. And it's common when you're a 300-pound monster with 70% of 300 is 210. You have a 200 liters, pounds of water, right? So you're not cramping at all, right? Could you possibly turn it up? And maybe they turned it up now on their own, God knows. See, he was in better condition the last 3 shows.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the next question. You got 2 minutes on this one. Should they bring back the Symmetry round?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. So listen.
2 minutes.
So symmetry, muscularity, presentation. Symmetry, now you put the number on shape that supposedly they're judging. The silhouette, the wide shoulders, the V taper, from front, back, and side. Relaxed pose, hands by your side, feet together. This is symmetry round. And there was, in my time, a big discrepancy from symmetry round and muscularity rounds. You could see the changes.
Yes.
Oh my God. So when they say we do consider, put it on the paper. Define this round as a symmetry round and tell me who has a better symmetry.
I don't think people understand, Milos, that there used to be a symmetry round.
Yes.
You can't, that the new generation doesn't understand that we would come out and do a full round of symmetry and then we go to the muscularity.
Yes. And it's a shame for me. I'm in a losing battle because, of course, they don't want to change it.
Yeah.
And then I should not speak. I speak up. I was fighting with Bob Chick, also about it because he's like one also that influenced that, and then also posing around not to be judged. So
which was my next question. Should they judge the posing round?
Of course, that's the essence of bodybuilding.
Correct.
So now we have a boring routines. Listen, if you go to the school and mat, you're not going to get the grade on the mat. Would you know how to add 2 and 2? It doesn't matter that you don't know. For you, it's 5. You pass because I'm not giving you a grade. So everybody now, it bores you to tears to watch them pose. It's painful.
Yes,
right now, routines are painful. It's just like, please don't pose. Just stick it out.
They get mad. I made a comment on you coached him before, Milos, white guy, James Hollinghead. He did a guest posing and he had no tan on and he went out there and he did barely any poses. And I made a comment. I said, hey, I was like, why don't you at least put some color on and do some poses? And he's like, well, I don't even know who you are. I'm like, dude, I'm asking you, why are you so sensitive? This is a guest posing. They're paying you. Why can't you at least put color on and put on a show? These guys don't pose anymore. I just don't understand it.
You see, you're supposed to present and represent yourself and a sport. And what you bring on the stage is how much you respect yourself, audience, and the sport. If you don't give performance that we are expecting, why is that? Oh, because you're a lazy ass and you don't care? I mean, you shouldn't be on the stage ever if you don't want to bring your heart and soul like King was. King would wake up dead, when he shows up with the first move. And I'm going to tell you, King, I was commentating whatever Olympia that you were in and you did that crazy dancing routine. And because I hated you, I was saying, this is not posing, this is dancing, this is entertainment. This, if you ask me, posing routine is to use to emphasize the strength of your physique, right? And the poses other than mandatories that you look fucking great. Your physique looks great. And then if you can put this entertainment part with all that, that's ideal. You were going more into just entertainment, and you didn't do too many of those poses. So that was my criticism for. But I would watch your routine 10 times in a row. It was that entertaining. And like I said, when you wake up dead, people were fucking jumping.
Yeah, and Milos, another thing you got to understand, when Jim Lorimer will call me up, he would call me up and say, "Do what you do. We're giving $15,000 for best entertainer / poser." That was why I loved the Arnold Classic, and I did all my best stuff at the Arnold Classic, because Lorimer would call me up and say, "Hey, this is not about your Lila Brada, in my opinion, at the Olympia that one year. You're the best with the history of bodybuilding." That was one of the greatest posing routines I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was unfucking believable, and it gives me goosebumps. I'm not that. Yeah. Melvin's not that. We were entertainers. We wanted to go out there and pop lock and dance and tell a story and then get on a standing ovation. That was what we wanted to do. And you know what? I made a lot of money doing that.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you this. For money, separately, yes, they should put crazy best poser awards and give it to you. As a bodybuilding part of judging, I'm not for it. I'm Lila Brada type of posing that he did phenomenal routine and show 30 different poses that he looks spectacular. Poses other than mandatories. I told this in an argument with Bob Cicarilla. What is Arnold Schwarzenegger known for? Which poses? Which poses?
The quarter, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's his signature shots, not for mandatories. What is Frank Zane known for?
Right.
Shit like this. Sergio Oliva, Victory, all this shit. We know bodybuilding, and we fall in love with bodybuilding with shots of these guys. None of those poses were mandatory poses. And now bodybuilding is narrowed down to 8 mandatory poses that most of the guys just go in the posing routine and do those 8 and then walk off. What the fuck?
It's boring. Let's go. Will Nick qualify for the? Oh, I know you voiced your opinion about Nick. I voiced my opinion about Nick. I think Nick is an extremely hard worker. He's a freak. I never could love his physique. I just could never, I was never a fan of his physique. And people, oh, you're a Nick hater. You're just jealous. I'm not. I'm just not a fan of Nick's physique whatsoever. He's big. He's freaky, but it is what it is.
Okay, I was president of Nick Haters Club, right?
Yeah.
His mom once grabbed me and she's like, "Why do you hate me?" God. Now listen, I'm gonna be straightforward. 2019 Arnold Classic victory. Nick shocked me and made me absolute believer. Look, this is not hashtag bodybuilding. This is hashtag muscle building that beats bodybuilders in their own game. I like Flex Wheeler, Kevin Levrone, Sean Ray, million times more than Dorian Yates. Okay? If I'm a judge, yeah, for sure, it would be like before they step on the stage, these guys win until I see them on the stage. And I said, damn. I mean, Dorian is hashtag muscle building with the crazy conditioning. Level of conditioning that Dorian brings, nobody's really bringing nowadays. I mean, Hadi Chopin is, but Hadi Chopin from the back cannot stand, close to Dorian Yates from the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Derek Lansford could. But you see, I think that Dorian won over my guys convincingly and deservingly. I don't like his physique. I like their physique. And I'm judging. I'm going to still have to consider everything and give it to him. Chris Cormier going against Jay Cutler, when I was coaching him for some Arnold Classic, I said, okay, Chris has this beautiful shape, right? Jay cannot beat you, but Jay beat him fair and square again on the basis of combination, whatever they judge. Dexter Jackson or Jay Cutler. I like Dexter's physique 10 times better, right? But first, as soon as I saw them, 2009, right next to each other, Jay won. It's still bodybuilding. I'm not gonna insist on, okay, you just have to have that beautiful shape, small waist, V taper, So Nick Walker could potentially beat Derek. Okay, because Derek from the front is not, how should I say politely, not dense, not striated, not hard enough. Okay, his conditioning comes a little bit from the side and majorly from the back, but there are a few poses before you turn around. Front double, Derek can beat him on a V taper, right? Derek has more tools to beat Nick, and I think that's what's going to happen. But I wouldn't discount Nick because he comes rock hard, and a lot of people like to be freaked out.
Let's do three quick. Let's do three quick.
Real quick. Do you think Nick's physique, he could have changed the course of it, or do you think that's his structure, or do you think he just got too big too fast?
That's his structure. I mean, look, right now, God knows he doesn't need more size. He just needs to control his stomach and waist. And he did 2019. I promise you, there was not a microsecond he lost it. After that, he lost it in every other show. And as soon as you drop your waist and all that stuff, stomach out, immediately it's going to be 2,000 photos on Instagram and social media. And then judges can, even if they didn't see it at the prejudging, after prejudging, they're going to go on Instagram and say, holy hell, So Nick, I think he's going to bring his all-time best, and hopefully he's just controlling breathing, and gluing the stomach to the spine. He has deep abs. Jay Cutler didn't have a small waist. Dorian Yates didn't have a small waist, right? It didn't hold him back.
Yeah, Dorian Yates and Jay Cutler also didn't have stumpy legs. He's got short legs.
Right. Yeah.
So that's good. I'll say that. Sorry, Nick. I'm just being honest. All right, Milos, real quick. Quickies. Who's the best poser ever?
Lila Brada.
Okay. Who's the best entertainer ever?
Melvin Anthony, and you come second. But Melvin did more routines than you.
I appreciate that. 2007 Mr. Olympia. Jay or Victor?
Dennis. I mean, yeah.
Put Dennis out of the equation.
Listen.
Victor or Jay? Everybody says, hey, listen, man, we all the perfect. Listen, let me put it this way. If you ask every professional bodybuilder who was at that show, all the pros said Victor. Why did the judges see Jay? Answer the question.
Hey, I was such a dick. There is a video after prejudging. I said Jay doesn't deserve to be top 6. That's what I said. I've seen Dexter and Victor and Dennis, above him, and then of course I like to exaggerate, so I push him out of top 6. Jay at the prejudging and Jay at the finals, a little bit different story. Victor has never beaten Jay. Jay beats on what? On that size and decent conditioning. He was not conditioned prejudging. He was, much better conditioned in the evening. I like, again, Victor's physique better. So if I'm a judge, I would probably give it to Victor. But once you realize this is a goddamn Jay Cutler, right? And then how did he win all these shows? He has those attributes.
Yeah.
Crazy shoulders, crazy thickness, crazy legs. You know what? I was saying this to Jay on his podcast. Your mother would not give you 2007 Olympia. Okay, no, that's what I said because I have that freedom to just joke with him. But yeah, then I looked at the finals, and I could see why judges still gave it to him. Maybe there was that he's losing after the prejudging, and he could have lost because Victor has a beautiful body, and Dennis looked crazy that year.
That was the year you kept screaming to Dennis to go at the pose down, to go next to Jay, hit your most muscular.
Yes.
And that was smart.
Yeah. But do you know that whole story? They never put him next to Jay at the pre-judge.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then, did you hear the story when I went to his room after pre-judging and I told him, listen, at the finals, I don't care. You are number one and Jay is last. So when you guys all come out, you just walk all the way and stand right next to Jay. And of course, they're going to be pissed off. Of course, they're going to be pissed off. But audience is going to go wild. They're going to request that comparison.
That's
right?
smart.
But he didn't want to do it because Albert Busek told him, don't piss them off. And, and he didn't do it. So I'm going to still stick with Jay. I'm going to have to change my mind because Jay is, Mr. Olympia that beat Victor every single time. So that time, could he squeak in? Yeah. But still, Jay has reasons to be, 4 times Mr. Olympia.
Okay, next question.
And one more thing. Jay was 6 times runner-up.
Right.
Okay, so let's not talk about him just like a 4 times winner. He was 10 years in a row top 2. So could Victor possibly beat him? Yeah. And a lot of people would we all like to see a underdog win.
Correct. All right, next question. Will we ever see a 2003 Ronnie Coleman ever again?
No.
It's funny how everyone always answers that. Even Armon, we always talk about that. People don't understand what 293 pounds was on stage that year. People don't understand it. They had to be there to see it.
Yeah.
I grew up in Arlington. I mean, my first membership was at Metroflex. I grew up watching this guy train every day, and I just I never seen anything like it. Even as I got older, other bodybuilders, just never in my life. The training, the intensity, just how much this guy loved training. You couldn't even keep him out of the gym after he had a neck surgery. He'd be in the gym 2 weeks later doing 20-pound dumbbell curls. I'm like, Ronnie, what are you doing here? I just can't stay out of the gym.
Right.
So
hey, he would fly into LA and then King, you came all the way to Florida. That's like an hour drive at least, right? Every time he would come, he comes with the bags and suitcases to the gym first. Hotel is across the street. He doesn't go to hotel. He comes straight to the gym and fucking trains for like an hour and a half. And then my gym was normally closing at midnight, but he asked me, hey, can you keep the gym open for me? I said, of course, anytime. He would come middle of the night and still do the shit. Unbelievable.
Was Coliseum the best gym ever?
I mean, listen, of course, it was my baby. So I would say there was special energy there.
There was.
Yeah. Equipment was great. Put for my giant sets and all this shit, right? It was. I
love that. I love the whole setup, and I love the back when you open things up and you can go out. That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
To be able to go step outside, throw up, and come back, which I did, by the way.
Exactly.
Okay. We're gonna delve into shit that you don't like talking about.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Put these. I'm gonna be nice. Put these in order of importance. Okay. Drugs, training, food, genetics. Put them in importance.
Okay, training, because you can have all the food you want. If you don't train, it's not going to happen. So training has to be intense, stimulating, making a difference. Okay. Food still second. Okay. Genetics and then drugs. Yeah. Okay. So
Armon,
the perfect genetics with no training and no food, nutrients to feed it, too bad, so sad. It's not going to happen. Drugs are much lesser influence than people think. Okay. Ronnie Coleman was competing at Olympia twice before he started using. And maybe I used the worst possible example because after he started using, you see what happened. But really, training and food is where it's at. I mean, I trained for 7 years drug-free. I don't know how long you trained, King.
Till I was 19.
And that's when you start taking drugs? At 19?
First time. My first ever was 30 pills of Syntax Anadrol. And that was when I was 19 years old.
30 pills. You mean the 30 days, one pill?
Yeah, that's it. 50
Okay,
milligrams.
you have to define it nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nasser would take this in 3 days, right?
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
I took one a day. I gained 72 pounds.
wow. So that leaves a room to say, okay, drugs do a lot. But you've seen dragged out, no genetics guys that don't look good. Okay. So I would still say training is most important. Without proper training, forget it. More important than food. This two goes together. They say it's 70% nutrition. It's not. You eat, but you don't stimulate. You don't cause the reason for your body to change and grow. You can have all your chicken breast you want. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
And genetics determines winners, obviously.
All right, let's get to we'll touch on this. I know you've touched on this 1,000 times, but this is what the kids want to hear. Let's do it. Please explain the ABCs of the insulin protocol, and don't go into too much depth. Just give them the basics, because I want the kids to understand that from the master. You're the mind, you're the Milos. Just explain that real quick.
Yes. So insulin is anabolic hormone that it's a storage hormone, stores everything everywhere. Okay, which is danger. Everything, there are things that you don't want. Triglycerides you don't want to store everywhere, the body fat, you don't want it. But it stores everything, amino acids, glucose, what you want, where if you can direct them into the muscle tissue, then it becomes your best friend. Otherwise, it's your worst enemy, right? So if you use for anabolic purposes to drive nutrients into the muscle, I found, that makes all the sense in the world, because it's different pathway of anabolism than steroids or anything else. So inserts amino acids and glucose into the muscle tissue, muscle cells. Is this good or bad? Oh, so well, let me say it like this. We have 5-6 liters of blood. Okay, right now maybe 10%. We all have about 10% in the muscles. Then you're gonna go train. 60-70% is gonna go in exact muscle that you're training. Okay, 60-70% goes exactly in the chest right now. We're gonna train chest. So I saturate the blood with all the amino acids and all the nutrients that make a difference. So all the supplements that make a difference: creatine, glutamine, beta-alanine, citrulline, blah 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 blah. Everything in elemental state ready for uptake. Okay, and then I put an agent that enhances the transport and pushes all exactly where? Into the muscle. So my protocols were only fast-acting insulin, only right before the workout, so it's going to peak during the training, and after the workout to keep replenishing glycogen. Like about 6 hours after the training, it's still physiological preference of your body to take care of what just happened. You shock the muscle, you work the muscle, you lose all this stuff to put it back. So for me, in theory, this was perfect. Humalog onset is in 15 minutes, peak is in 45 minutes, strong is a couple of hours, it's out in 3-4 hours. So when it's here, strongest action of insulin, which means taking everything out of the blood in first available tissues and cells. The only available tissues and cells are the muscle cells, muscle tissue that you're training. So it's like shoving it right there, like nailing it. It's like, how can I lose that opportunity, right? And then I started with a little bit. If you do physiological level of supraphysiological, you're using more than your body would ever do. Okay. So does it make sense? In this instance, for me, it made perfect sense. So I would do this. I would drink my drink in between the workouts. I would maintain my glycemia, so I never go in low blood sugar or hypoglycemic shock, right? So I maintain and I keep shoving it in. I know that a lot of people don't agree with this. And, yeah, you don't need it. it's a difference night and day. The pumps that you're going to get on it or without it, it's not even funny. I do remember Dennis James, the first month when we used it, he gained 44 pounds. But he says he would be full all day. He would be, bursting full and all that stuff, right? Of course. Post-workout, I would do another shot, right? Because to cover my replenishment, right? So this is what I did. A lot of people judge it. A lot of people are against it. But you tell me, which logic works against what I just told you? I'm going to send the blood and I'm going to send the nutrients and I'm going to send the guy that's going to, like police officers put everybody in jail. Okay. The cop is going to get you there. Maybe you wouldn't choose to go there. My guy is going to force everything to go where exactly where I want to send it.
So this person asks, so you're this guy, Lantus became very popular in the last several years or whatever. So this guy asked, are you still, is your view on Lantus still the same? You do not like the long acting?
I don't like long whatsoever. And here is why that everybody can, and I know that many people use it and they're going to argue with me. I know that Dave Palumbo like to use it. And he's counteracting hyperglycemia from GH that maybe, you're going to be reducing insulin sensitivity. Insulin is not selective, as I said. It takes everything everywhere. If I take it at the wrong time, it can go to the wrong place. I'm not directing the blood into the muscle. It's just like, okay, I have everything, especially then if you have a higher fat diet and you have triglycerides lingering around. If triglyceride is there and insulin is there, it's going to grab it and store it 1,000,000%. So why would I choose to do that when I don't need it? So for me, I'm strictly against it. I just use when it makes sense. Okay. So you can be on a low carb diet elsewhere, blah, 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 whatever, how you structure your diet. And when you train, that's anabolic phase of the day. I normally have a maintenance phase of the day, just maintain. You can maintain with protein and carbs or protein and fat or all three, how lucky you are. But when you're going to train, meal before, 2 meals after and during, I take care of it. Glucose and carbs are my friend at that time. Insulin is my friend at this time. Now you're welcome. Come in. Later, go away. You don't need to.
So with this philosophy, do you agree? Do you have to train early in the day?
No.
No.
Listen. Okay. So, King, if you use a long acting one, then you should probably train right away. Yeah, you should train, soon. But you can wake up, do your cardio. That's fat burning phase of the day. Okay. You can have a keto diet in sense protein and fats, no problem. Okay. First part of the day, you're not active. Okay. Glucose becomes the fuel substrate of utilization only for muscle work. So when I'm going to expose my muscles to work, I need the glucose. Okay. If I'm going to have a glucose already, glucose is going to trigger insulin release anyway. Well, how about if before it's even released, I put it in, and it's going to keep shoving it in stronger than it would normally do.
Right.
But so long acting, 24 hours in a day is there. So, okay, King, you tell me, if you know that something is potentially shoving fat in you, okay, and then you have some fats in your meals, first, second, third meal, whatever else. If you have some fats, an agent then is not selectively choosing just what you want, but also what you don't want, how can you let it happen? Why do you think you are just hoping it's not going to trap the triglyceride? I mean, how can you convince yourself, it's not going to happen? That's the job of insulin, to transport the nutrients, everything, everywhere. And
yeah, I mean, we see people all the time using insulin the wrong way and putting on so much fat, right? Like,
yes.
So,
Nasser asked somebody, Armon, you know that story? King knows. Nasser was in my house, 94, and he saw one of these journals, I mean, King, you saw it in my house, right?
I've seen your journals. Yes.
Yeah, all this shit. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Nasser looked at I said, "Oh, insulin, shit, bullshit. It just
Bullshit.
made
Bullshit. Bullshit. That was his favorite word. Bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit. Yeah, bullshit." And he was so actually mad. Actually mad. You heard the story? I don't want to repeat it if you heard it.
I know.
I've heard it, but a lot of
legendary
people
story.
have heard it.
So anyway, he did not believe it.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing was like, "Oh, you made this and you put it on this table because you knew I'm coming." I said,
That sounds like him, man.
yeah.
Sounds like him.
So for people to realize, right? It's like 10 meals a day, everything, protein, carbs, like every single day. Okay, this I would put some pictures also occasionally, right? But it's like every meal, everything I take it. So I said 365 days a year. I did the 10 meals a day because I knew that in January of 1994, you're going to come to my house so I can trick you. Are you fucking out of your mind? So then he asked me to take like my last 3 years of these journals. He took it home. And then he came back and said, "Okay, I'm doing it." So, and that's the time that I trained with him in 95 at San Diego. And let me tell you, he was hyper responder.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about Ronnie Coleman being that big, 2003. 94 to 95 Nasser transformation was equivalent maybe to Ronnie Coleman 2002 to 2003. I'm dead serious. But I've seen him in a Gold Gym, 294 pounds. Before Houston, he could have stepped on the stage and still be most conditioned guy with 294. But you know how you want to make sure that you dry out. And he went down to 278 or something. But Nasser was that big.
Which
now,
leads
are you fan of the insulin? Sorry, King. Off season, pre-contest, or both?
Okay, so of course, every time, look, Armon, I want to maximize everything. If every day is off season and pre-contest, do I want to maximize it or not? If I train, is this better with insulin or without it? The whole thing that I told you, if I'm going to transport it to the muscle, insulin is my best friend. I would use it pre-contest as well. Of course, pre-contest, if you're a fat ass and you need to lose body fat, okay, you have to drop the carbs. If you drop the carbs for a whole day, you probably don't have a commodity to use insulin because you're on such a low carbs. Even if I would do the guys on a low carbs for a training, that's an anabolic phase of the day, I would give them a little bit to make sure it pushes into the muscle they're training.
Now, there's about 1 million people asking, what does a little bit mean?
Okay. 5, 8, 10 units. Okay. Normally I would do 20-20. Everybody knows my protocols would be 20-20.
Yeah.
That's super physiological amount. Yeah. Now that you ask me, okay, would I insist? No. If you don't feel comfortable and you're in local, you don't need to do it. A lot of guys don't want to do it. Would I do on body parts? Okay. Around body parts that can make a difference, like chest, shoulders, right? Oh, hell yeah. I would not do the chest day without it. Holy hell. I mean, when you have that insulin chest pump or shoulders, the Kevin Lebroni got them, cannonballs. But I understand that it's not prevalent like it was back in the day. In the 90s, I mean, the Chad's guys were using it, right? You were one of the Chad guys.
Yeah, but I didn't use it in the off season because I was fat. When I met Chad, I was the young guy and with all these legends and stuff like that. So it didn't in the off season. Now, when it came to leg days and back days, that was a different situation. I kind of put 2 and 2 together and asked a lot of other guys, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. but mostly was just right before the show, 3-4 days before the show. Then we start loading up and all that stuff. Okay. But never ever, which leads me to what I was going to say a few seconds ago. I've seen Iranian protocols of taking 20 units with every single meal. Every single meal. And I don't even know what to say about that. What would you say to someone if you saw protocols like that?
I don't know.
Teach these guys, because they're going to listen to you. They're not going to listen to me. They're going to be like, he doesn't want to give the secrets away.
I have no secrets. I always say everything. Now that you're questioning, this is ridiculous. If you ask me, that's not borderline dangerous. That's super dangerous. And they would have to have zero fat in their diet to get away with it. Okay, and they're gonna fuck up the sugars probably. They're gonna, because every meal, if you have 6 meals a day, that's 120 units, right? Yeah. And it's constantly this, it's whoa. Now, if you use insulin but not much carbs, you're gonna probably be running on hypoglycemic, levels, which is, how can that be good?
It's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. Some idiot trainers were using insulin with no carbs, supposedly to deplete your glycogen. No, seriously, that was like, what? How do you deplete your glycogen?
I've had people on keto diets. The coach had them doing keto diets and insulin. I'm like, do you feel terrible every day? Like, what's going on? It's crazy what's going on with the insulin. And Milos, like, when people talk about growth hormone these days, what's a typical dose to you, and what's an insane dose? Because you got a lot of these influencers, they start out with like pro level cycles. So what is a typical dose you would say a top pro uses or amateur should use, and a dose that's just 20, 30 IUs that we hear of that someone should not use ever?
Yeah, we hear this. Look, 30 years ago, I talked about it. I don't know if you heard me say it, King. 0.7 units per kilo per week was therapeutic dosage with the most benefits, least amount of side effects. 0.7. Take a 100 kilo guy. That's a 100 kilo, 220 pound guy. It's 70 units a week, which is 10 units a day. Okay, so that would be like, okay, if you're 250, it would be up to 11, 12 units a day would be justified for pharmacological effect of growth hormone beneficial. Okay, would that cause hyperglycemia, and then insulin resistance? Probably for a prolonged time, but that's why you bring insulin into equation. Fire and water, counter-regulatory hormones, and you constantly balance everything. So if you are using a GH and then you use insulin for your workouts, like my protocol, you can never run insulin resistance. Training itself is the first fight against insulin resistance, right? So it's now what nutrients you're bringing in. But to just answer about GH, we were lucky back in the 90s if you could get 4 units a day. I mean, it was goddamn expensive. We didn't have money. And 4 units is something that, I would say. Then it came to 10 and then 16. And I know people that go crazy amounts, 30.
Which is stupid.
It's stupid. Absolutely. Absolutely unnecessary. And, there is use, misuse, and abuse of everything. So I'm not against, I'm a bad guy, insulin guy. If you know how to control it, it can bring you many benefits. Steroids, oh my God, that's bad. If you use correctly, it's an anabolic hormone. It's not catabolic. It's not breaking you down. It's building you up. Control it. You can maintain this. Testosterone is what makes us who we are, right?
Look at Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. But, bad thing in bodybuilding is if one is good, 2 is twice as good.
Yeah.
10 is 10 times as good. So many people will really do 10 times the amounts.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on this guy asks, what's your opinion on donating blood before a cycle, since blood count will go up?
Yeah, listen, I never donated blood in my life. My hematocrit was always there, hemoglobin was there. If it's elevated, yeah, you should. Yeah. And you should be hydrated like MF. I know that, King, you were drinking like 2 gallons of water a day, right?
Minimum,
yeah. Yeah, and people nowadays, they don't do that. Among the other things, train like a maniacs, diet like you are in a fucking island with no food, right? And then hydrate yourself. They don't do this.
Yeah,
So,
I say this to women all the time. I'm like, you guys spend a quintillion billion dollars a year on skincare products. Drink water.
Yeah.
Hydrate your body, your skin. I still don't have a wrinkle on my face. I don't.
Doesn't the sugar make your pancreas secrete insulin on top of the insulin?
You're supposed to be an expert in that anyway, right? Okay, and you had the sugar. Of course, that any kind of carbohydrates turn into the glucose, and the elevated glucose is going to trigger beta cells of pancreas to release insulin. Of course. But when you inject insulin in advance, insulin is already there, okay? And that sugar is transported with exogenous insulin. Endogenous doesn't need to be made because it's already transported, okay? If it doubles up, okay, if you eat sugar, okay, it's going to elevate. It's going to trigger blood sugar level up. And then if it goes up, beta cells release it. Okay, if you do that first. But if you inject insulin, okay, and insulin is already in, and then you eat, and insulin is already there, it's going to transport. Your pancreas doesn't need to, it's a negative feedback. Just like you have too much testosterone, your body is not going to release your testosterone, right? Because it's already there.
And he follows up with Tony Huge coach Trevor used to use insulin while doing fasted cardio, claiming it increases fat loss.
Okay, so how does it increases fat loss? What part of insulin burns fat?
That's crazy.
How do they explain it?
Yeah, that's nuts. Is it a waste of time to use insulin without GH? I'm married with teenagers, so my wife isn't having me wasting money on GH. She is cool with my cycles and health supplements. Insulin at Walmart is cheap. Is it a waste? Milos?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I should agree that the GH is worth it. I mean, it's more anti-catabolic. It's fat burning. It's not really anabolic. Okay. It's cost effective. Would I use it? Of course. If anybody would give me, I would use it. I would use it up to 10 units a day myself. Yeah, for sure. I'm not against it. But would I buy it? I'm cheap ass. I wouldn't buy it. So, but the Joshua, if your wife is saying insulin works without the GH, yeah, it's independent. Yeah, it is. Would it be better with both? Yes.
Dorian used to say that all the time. He used to say that the greatest stack ever is insulin and growth.
No, but Dorian didn't like insulin. You know, he talked about it.
Yeah.
I gave him the protocol. I mean, I gave him just like everybody else. Listen, I never had a single secret in my life, and this is why when these haters jump at me, this and that, I'm open book. Ask me anything you want to know. I'll tell you.
You hear a lot of people saying, I don't like insulin because it makes me feel bad. Are they using insulin wrong? Or, because a lot of people, you say you like the fast second insulin. I know most people are using longer acting insulin. Like I get consultations and they, the one, you can't get, a Humalog from Walmart without a prescription, obviously. So they're using the
R.
The R, the N you can get from Walmart. Do you say go ahead and use that if you can't get Humalog, or it's a waste?
But we used to at the King's time and Chad, we use R and N.
Correct.
Because that was and R is a different onset, peak, duration. I think onset was 45 minutes, peak was in 2 hours, strong 2-3 hours, and then out in 8. And N would peak a couple of times. These journals, I can pull it out and show you 97. I use N and R, especially when I was carb loading. When I was carb loading, I wanted to have a all day transport, make glycogen. So at that time, of course, and I don't have any fats, so I'm safe. But your question was, sorry, I forgot. What was your question?
Oh, I mean, if you're like, if it's not a waste if someone only can get that type of insulin, they can't get a fast acting Humalog.
Yeah, but you have to time it a little bit differently. Yes, right. You have to time it earlier so it peaks when you're training. Yes.
Okay.
Armon, any more insulin questions? Do we want to keep going with this?
I think that sums it up. I mean, yeah.
I mean, he explained it perfectly. You can't explain it any better than that.
Yeah. And, one last thing, like Phil Heath claims he never used insulin. Hani claims he never uses insulin with a lot of these top guys. Do you believe this?
I have no reason not to believe. I mean, Lee Priest didn't use it, right?
Right.
Okay. And it's part why you don't use something, because you're afraid of and you don't know much about it. And if you don't know much about insulin, you're probably better off not using, right? They point finger at me like, okay, you're killing people. Listen, if I give you the gun and you know how to use the gun, it can save your life. If you turn around, well, too bad, so sad. You're an idiot, right?
Good analogy.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't listen. They take, you tell them to take 5, they take 10. I remember I've told guys to take 5 before. They were taking 50 on accident, and they already knew they were already at a top level. And they had literally pro bodybuilders as coaches before. I'm like, you know how to measure it, right? They're like, yeah. And then I'm like, what do you mean you're passing out all the time? What do you mean you're passing out from using 10 IUs? Oh, and then I made a video one day, like how to measure it. I showed with the syringe, and one of my clients calls, it's like, oh my God, dude, I've been taking 80 IUs a day. And I'm like, dude, like what? You've been bodybuilding for all these years and you don't know 8 IUs from 80 IUs because people don't understand you measure it differently than GH.
That happened to many of people that I work with, that because like 4 IUs of a GH would be like the whole fucking insulin needle, right? So they think that 4 IUs there is 4 IUs here, right? And then they would inject like 10 times more. Yeah.
I got a crazy insulin story. So one of my friends, he was I wasn't even using insulin at the time. He was at the gym and he left a syringe in my car with a 4 ml of, I believe it was Humalog, right? So I had a dentist appointment like 3 days later, and I had a prescription to Nubane at the time. My doctor used to prescribe me like 12 bottles a month. So I had to get a procedure done. I thought this was Nubane in my car. I shot this IV, 100 IUs of insulin. I get this taste in my mouth, and I'm like, okay, this is not Nubane. Is it lidocaine? Because there was lidocaine. I was using lidocaine for something else too. And so I go to this breakfast place. I start slamming because I hadn't realized what it was. And I just remember sweating everywhere. Then I told the lady, honey, you okay? I was like, call 911. And they were feeding me all the wafers. And then they had to transport me, give me glucose. And they thought I was trying to commit suicide. The doctors, they all come in there. They're like, are you okay? I'm like, no. They're like, so you just have random syringes laying everywhere and just injecting in your veins? I was like, yeah, I guess I did. But yeah,
that's
stupid
nuts,
story.
Bro. That's nuts.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Milos, another quickie. Don't go too crazy with this one. Can Ramy come back, and will he be as significant?
If Ramy comes like he was at his last show, Arnold Classic, he will be very significant. I think that they kind of dodged him at that show.
Yeah,
I think that he was very, very good. I mean, look, I talk about superheroes, and superheroes, when I said this, that's Ronnie Coleman, Lee Haney, right? That's those Excaliburs, Cedric McMillan, right? Andrew and Samson. Those are the physiques But if they are in perfect condition, how can you beat them? Okay. Then you have the monsters, and monsters like Ramy. Ramy was beating everybody on this monsterism. Like he was just like overwhelming. Holy shit. I like his 2023, Honor Classic. I think that he looked phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Yes, that lower lat insertion, there is something going on. And, maybe triceps was not up to where it used to be. But if he can improve on that one, he is still a factor. He would be competitive.
What do you think is happening with the guys, Milos, with the lats raising up and up and up? Other than, like my back, I have neck nerve damage, and I was going to ask you about your stem cell, later on too. But why do you think these guys' lats are raising up? Is it from shooting them too much? Is it just nerve damage from training over the years?
It has to be. I mean, nobody is shooting, lower lats. So sometimes when you shoot somewhere, I did that once, and I had like 95. There was like one fiber on the lat you could see it was missing because my axe injected and I guess hit the nerve, and it was visible. Holy shit! But I think, King, you told me you had with a pack, right? You had a little bit of atrophy there. Mm-hmm. And you don't remember doing anything. No. Marcus Rule, the same thing, right? It's in the pack. That famous WWE wrestler
Steiner.
Yeah, okay. He had it. Where it's coming from, God knows. And that's what's happening in the lower lats. I've seen with the Japanese guy Hidetada, because before when I trained him, he had it all. When I came back 2017, and I'm like, what happened? It's really same thing as Big Ramy.
So when you're shooting the lats, like when I was with Hani, he had me shooting my lower lat. He was like, he told me to shoot like the lower. So people should be shooting like higher up then, if you're going to shoot your lats.
That was Dennis James thing. He even showed me like sit down and relax a lot, and then did it. And it's better off if you have somebody else do it for you. But all in a upper, wherever you want them to expand. It is site injection that, it brings some volume. I've seen many guys work wonders. The lats just blew up. I know King is very specific. He sees somebody, immediately, look at this, shooting lats. Yeah, we're all guilty of shooting something somewhere, right? But you don't shoot a Synthol there. I really hope that nobody's shooting Synthol. And I hope that nobody's shooting Synthol, period. But these are usually anabolics that you shoot in a lat to widen them.
Like with Derek, with his double bicep, you would see the ball right there. Is that a typical place people was putting it? Right in front, right there?
Yeah. Okay. You know how Dorian said that he shoot everything in his lats? Wow. Hey, if you ever have a Dorian on the show, and his lats were off the chart. God damn.
Yeah. Behrooz. How's he doing? I talked to him a couple of days ago, but I want you to tell everybody what's going on for the Dubai Pro real quick.
Yeah, he's definitely going there to defend his title. Of course, he's going to have some rough competition. I mean, if Martin competes, Martin should be a favorite as a top 4 Olympia competitor. Regan is probably doing it. Regan is dangerous. Regan is, I see him yesterday, bigger than normal. I mean, of course, he's going to still have to work on condition, but 3 weeks out ever before, and 3 weeks out now, he's looking way bigger and better. I have high hopes for him.
I hope he doesn't post, kitchen, those pictures that make him look grainy at 3, and then he shows up. That does nothing but hurt him.
Yeah, no,
have you told him that?
But listen, isn't Chris Aceto guilty of doing this refrigerator light with Jay Cutler, right?
That's the refrigerator light is a new one.
So King and I spoke about the other day. Everybody's rushing to Boss of Outlaw. I'm sure he's a great coach, but everybody's like, is there some secret formula? Why is everybody rushing to him now? Like he's so, like, of course, how many clients can you realistically even take on? I had the guy, I was at the gym the other day. This guy was like, this guy is just a normal, like classic pro, older. He's like, yeah, man, I try to read a Pulse Outlaw because this and that. And, he could have coached me, but he has an assistant that could. King didn't even know who the guy was, right? King, you didn't even know who he was.
I still don't know who he is.
Stefan, he's great. I love him. Okay. He's truly one of those that loves everything he's doing. He lives and breathes. But when you have 100 people, how can you handle it? You can't, right? And I mean, would his diet differ much than mine or King's, or protocol? No. But he had some very good results. He's a little bit lighter on protein. He doesn't do as much protein as I would do. But listen, how many of us would do, fish and veggies and maybe chicken and rice and beef and potato and shit like this? Like, it's not rocket science, right? You just basically have to see caloric requirement and time it and make some deficit here and there if you need to. But ideally for me, right, I was always in shape and I could do the photo shoot anytime. I could do the guest posing. For me, it was much better to maintain it so I don't go off and on, because when you go through the roof, then you get fat, like King says, and then maybe Chad couldn't put him on insulin because now he's too fat. But if you are not, then you can have a benefit of anabolic phase during the day and put the insulin. Anyway, but I don't want to forget about Behrooz. Behrooz is obviously somebody I love deeply. We're working on his visa. It's now expedited application. Immigration responded, and they just need a couple more documents that we need to prove that he's internationally known bodybuilder competing at the highest level. And we already get Tyler Mannion responding, and RFK himself send a letter of recommendation, which is huge. We're going to get a few more people, and I hope it's all going to work. So hopefully he's going to get the visa for Olympia. But he has to qualify for Olympia as well. Now, I was saying Martin would be super competitive. Look, it's going to be 140,000 first place. And I don't know who's going to enter. Sasan is doing it. But I believe that Behrooz at his best can win.
Sasan is great. His conditioning is great. I just think he's narrow. He doesn't have the structure to stand next to these wide monsters.
Yes. I love Sasan, especially when you talk to him. What a guy. But yeah, like I said, he doesn't have that V taper, and he was considerably smaller than Andrew. So I didn't see him beating Andrew, even after prejudging, but the judges gave him, like, okay. Which brings that conversation now. Okay. So it's one diuretic away for becoming, like, okay, you're absolute best. So years of training and building this physique, okay, it can be demeaned by a little bit of water retention. Okay, you got to get rid of that water. So how do you get rid of that water between prejudging and finals? When you hear from judges, okay, it needs to be tighter for the finals.
Diuretic, yeah.
What do?
Diuretic.
Right. You've made your point on that. Very clear.
Yeah.
You don't need to defend that at all, Milos. We all know. It's just that some people have thin skin, some people have thick skin.
So, Milos, if you had Andrew Jack came to you, which he's not hitting it here and there. I'm sure, I don't know if you know what he's doing, what he's not doing. We know Aceto's not shy of diuretics at all. He's pro diuretics, absolutely. So what do you think Andrew is missing in this? Is he one of those guys that is like Samson, like, no, I don't want to push it, or what's going on when he turns from behind? Why can't he have those glutes and hams dug out?
We talk about all these things. Among other things, is genetics, right? So genetics, maybe he doesn't have. But when you have a specific goal, now maybe if he's listening as well, you need to shred that glutes and hamstrings. So you have to put more emphasis on training, connecting to them, and burning. This is obviously last place it goes. So you have to be 3 weeks in advance already peeled.
Yes.
And then you just maintain. But still some body fat is there and still some water is there, right? And then when you go try aggressively to pull out the water, which happens with him in the Arnold Classic, he lost his quads.
Yeah.
His quads were not there on the stage. And I'm still convinced if quads were as big as in FIBO, he could have possibly even win the show.
Yeah.
Or give judges a very good reason, because Andrew body or Derek's body at the same condition, who wins? That's my question.
I like Derek.
Derek's better than Andrews.
I like Derek. I mean, I think are you asking 100% both of them?
Yeah, same condition, both of them. And there's
Andrew. Andrew.
Andrew.
If he
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Same condition, and then look at the bodies.
Milos.
Yeah.
I don't want to. We're not going to end with this. We're almost there.
Listen, I have all day.
Okay.
I have all day. I'm not going to hurry.
25 prominent bodybuilders died in 2024. Okay. Yeah. Some of the names: Ilya, Golem, Antonio Swaza, Mishin, Matt McLaughlin, Johnny Morant, Neil Curry. Why? And as much as I do, as much as Armon knows, the list will be longer and bigger this year.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a very touchy subject. Listen, most of the bodybuilders, right, we are extremists, and we did pharmacology that was not in reasonable amounts that can create damage. Then you add other pharmaceuticals. I mean, Armon just said that he's taking Nubain, many other people do many other things in combination with it, right? So would it be as many other athletes in other sports that die? There's many athletes in other sports that are dying. They're probably not doing as much pharmaceuticals and bodybuilders.
Do you think if these people were getting regular blood work done, going to the doctor, do you think this will still be a big, long list? My personal opinion would be no. If people knew what was wrong with them, they would stop.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a very tough subject. Look, at this very moment, I'm still taking 250 testosterone and 50 DECA myself. I'm 61 years old, right? Do I want to stop? No, I don't find that this is damaging me in any way. I think it's helping in many ways. So why would I stop? But there was the times before that, you go crazy and you do other things, recreational stuff. And then once you get hooked on that, combination of that, few years of that can damage and progress what steroids are damaging at accelerated rate. And that shit happens.
Yeah. I mean, all the time, like, when I had my phase, I was doing the Nubain and oxys, and I was heavy on that. And I always I've been clean for over 4 years now, but I always tell people, the rec stuff, if you can stay away from that, totally stay away from that. We see now, I want to get your opinion on this, because Kratom is a new Nubain now. You got everybody on Kratom. I think it's great if you're trying to get off opiates. I think it's great if you're taking it here and there throughout the day, but you got guys taking these Kratom shots that are really strong all throughout the day now. And it has the same withdrawals as hydrocodone, oxy. It's still the same thing.
My first question to you: Why would you use Nubain? Why did you change?
Pain, of course, pain. Yeah.
Really, be honest.
Yeah.
Why didn't you take some different painkillers?
When I started, I had 3 surgeries back to back. They prescribed me hydrocodone. I got my doctor prescribed me Nubain. I was taking the Nubain, and then I switched over to oxycodone for the pain, and then it just led on and was a vicious cycle. I couldn't go off the withdrawals. I tried many times.
Opiates in general, right?
Yeah.
People get high on them and they like the feeling, and often they don't really even have a pain anymore, but they are hooked on it and they use it forever. And you, King, you were battling with um, Craig Titus, and when I was coaching him, exactly when he was going against you, I wanted him to stop a fucking Nubain. And shit, he would be in my gym, and I watch him, and he goes to the bathroom, and I just follow him right, and I catch him. I said, "What the fuck, man?" Right? Oh, I have to do it, and he was just hooked. And then there was another thing like, "Oh yeah, it's anti-catabolic." So tell me what I want to hear it, right? And that's good. That's good enough. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna take, my training partner back in the day, Sonny Schmidt, he was using. He convinced me to try it once. Thank God. I was so nauseous, spinning around, and I said, "What the hell?" And but I'm guilty of. You should try everything, and see how it works. But it was a nonsense in using it. I don't know why people are using now. Everybody's hooked. I would never even try it. It doesn't make sense. Why
Some
would
people can't. Right here. I can't. I take one Vicodin and I throw up for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You
see,
the problem is, King, I was the same way. People, they get on it, they get sick the first few times. Once you don't get sick anymore, your body adapts, and you do. Of course, I was using it for the pain, but I got the euphoric effects, and there's no good ending to it. You're going to OD. You're going to, it's never a good ending for it.
But what kind of pain are we really talking about? Okay, you had a surgery or something, but an average bodybuilder that is using this, what kind of pain are you having? Aren't you supposed to feel some pain anyway? Pain makes you feel alive and, appreciate the pain that you have. Instead, I'm going to kill it. So anything you put in your body, does it give you plus or minus? Okay. So insulin for me was a major plus. That's why I use it. A lot of people are against it. If you think it's a minus, don't take it, right? What are those painkillers doing for you? It's doing something physiologically to benefit you to progress your bodybuilding career, or to regress and then make you pay at the ages of 40 plus, like some of those people, they're gone.
I think a lot of these guys, they start taking it and they do reap the rewards at first because, oh my gosh, I could train harder, I could train longer. And then a few months go by, you have to take more and more and more. Kratom now, like we just had a show in Texas, and they're sponsoring a lot of people now. I'm not going to name the company, but they're handing them out in the goodie bags now. You get at shows. And I'm like, people don't understand, just because you supposedly can't overdose on it or this and that, I've been to, when I went to detoxes before to go off the oxys and all that, there were people in there for kratom. They could not get off of that. They're spending, those little shots you get are like $20 a shot. They're doing like 10 of those a day, a few $100 a day just on that. And now they're handing them out at these bodybuilding competitions in the goodie bag, just like it's freaking protein. And people don't know. They start taking it. One of my good friends, he used to do my Christmas lights in my house. He got a kratom shot from some gas station. He was drinking them like 3 on a weekend. He got liver failure. Something was in there that gave him liver failure, and he died. And that was the only thing that changed. And you got a lot of people that I've had companies ask to sponsor me, and I said no, because I knew what it was about. A lot of people are promoting it, and I've got people that have sent me private messages mad at me because I've spoke out about it. And I'm like, you guys don't know what the addiction is like. Once you're addicted to it, okay, first you take it before workout. Okay, my workout's great. Okay, I need to take it after my workout. Then you're taking it like 5 or 6 times a day, and then you're hooked. And getting off opiates is living hell.
Monkey see, monkey do, And people that have addictive personality, they're gonna easily be hooked and very hard to get off.
It sounds like old school Renutrient. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
No, remember how many people Milos used to pass out at the Arnold Classic because they were drinking that Renutrient?
Yeah.
GHB. That's what it was. And they would pass out and wake up like, oh man, I'm sorry I passed out. I'm like, what?
Yeah. It's just like hydrocodone. It's a totally different receptor. It works on the opiate receptors. GHB is more of a GABA, but it's they're both obviously not good for you.
I mean, just said that he hooked Craig Titus on a Nubain.
Yeah, it's
hit it.
The best was me calling him fat on stage. And
So Guru, I mean, why would you even suggest Nubain for? Okay, Nubain made the final week. Easy. Oh, it makes it easier. Final week. Why did you start 12 weeks out?
Milos, next question.
Okay.
What's more dangerous, the UFC weight cutting or bodybuilding diuretics?
I don't want to say nothing.
Because I've seen some crazy ass videos of these guys wrapped in towels and steam rooms and trying to make. I mean, to me, that looks 10 times more dangerous.
I know.
Patty guy, he has a huge weight cut, right? Patty, does how to say his name?
You know what?
Patty the Batty.
Yeah. They got it down to the science, and they pull it off. But like you, I'm surprised that some shit didn't happen already. Because they're so dehydrated they can't even move.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see a bodybuilder that dehydrated they can't move.
So what's your answer? Give me an answer. Which one's more dangerous?
I don't want to say it.
Because they outlaw. You can't do. I don't really understand the IVs, Milos, because you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to do the IVs in the UFC, right? How do you make weight cut?
Yeah, you can't take a diuretics and all this shit. I mean, it's easy for us. I mean, so imagine they have to cut like 5 pounds and they have like 3 hours or something like that. For us, you just pop the Bumex and you're good.
I actually went to super extremes for the 99 nationals because I had to lose 2 pounds in a couple hours. I was in my bathroom, turned the shower on super hot, and I was in there shadow boxing. I did that for 2 hours and spitting. The guy, one of the judges downstairs, Valentine was his name. He was a middleweight from North Carolina. He goes, "King, start spitting." So imagine me with a trash bag on like this for 2 hours in the bathroom, and I'm spitting all over the place. That's my cut and weight story.
That's the best. Somebody should do the video about that one. Oh my God.
Milos, how did your I know you did the stem cell. Did that do anything for you?
Stem cells was a magic. I tell you, my knee was completely gone. My shoulder was bad, and it was like a miracle. But that was December of 2023. Yeah. But throughout the 2024, like towards the end, my both knee and shoulder need another stem cell treatment. That's for sure. But listen, I was not a believer in it. I didn't know much about it, and I didn't expect. I mean, come on. But it was gone. Like pain was gone. I could squat, and I built my legs back up and everything. But then, again, I was using one machine that I shouldn't have. When you're trying to demonstrate something to some of your clients, but you can't just do like 1 rep. So I need to do 3 or 4. It was killing me on the first rep, and I did 3, 4, 5, and right after that, I was like, holy hell.
I hope you learned your lesson. Don't do that shit no more.
Yeah, I did it in Mexico. I was going to go with Khan first, and then me and Dave took a trip and did it with some other guy. My friend watched the video, looked over the paperwork. He's like, they did mostly PRP on you. They didn't really do much stem cell. So I didn't get anything out of that. But my friend in Montana, of course, in the States, you can't advertise like, hey, this does this. That's why people go out of the country, obviously. But I just did it like last week with the RFA or Adibi, where they go in and burn your nerve in your lower back. So hopefully I'll get some relief for my herniated disc. But
I did PRP because I've heard Kevin Levroni did back in the day, right? And so I went in Serbia. I thought like they're gonna just like take the blood and do the centrifuge, and this is what. But I go there and I say lay down, and then I hear like drilling. And I say, look, and I have a video actually. I taped it. They drill into my goddamn shin, and bone marrow.
So they're getting from the stem from your bone marrow,
yeah. It didn't do much. Really, my knee it didn't do much. So PRP, I don't swear by, but this Dr. Khan did it for me, and he told me exactly like, look, you're gonna feel like you have a new knee. I said, yeah. And seriously, it was good for almost a year. But I'm 61 years old, and that's one thing. King, you're still young. Yeah, don't do stupid shit like I was doing when it hurts. There's good pain and bad pain. As soon as you feel the bad pain, stop right there.
Milos, I go to the gym and I see these kids, and I want to, more than anything else on leg day. That's my problem. On any other muscle group, back today, I still stack all the machines. That's not a problem. I don't really bend over anymore. I stopped doing that about a year ago. Anything heavy, rows, anything that requires me to bend over, I don't do anymore. What leg day is my problem, because I want to so bad just put 405 and just rep it. I stop myself each time and I say, no, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. That's why I don't do it. But it's hard, man. You know how it is. For us, it's hard because we've been there. I've squatted 7 plates before, and I'm like, I see the videos, and I just have to keep reminding myself, no, that's stupid. Don't do that.
Good. Well, diuretic I prefer, of course, like everybody else. Diazide is mild. It's a combination of hydrocortisone, triamterene. I like it. Often I use aldactone, for example, right, as a aldosterone blocker, and especially when you use it with insulin, there is a reason you accumulate potassium, and insulin pushes potassium. Yeah, but it doesn't work for everybody. You see, first thing that when I started working with Samson, he told me he doesn't want to use aldactone ever. He had a bad experience and we never use it, right? But yeah, so to answer your question, diazide for sure. Look, if it's urgent and you need to drop a lot, loop diuretic has to be taken. I prefer Bumex over Lasix any day, or what's Demodex. I like Bumex. Bumex is a magic.
Demodex hits too hard, man. Too hard. It used to suck the water out of my lungs. I couldn't breathe. That was bad.
Milos, you brought up earlier that you're 61, you still take a little bit of tests and DECA. We talked about blood work. I think a lot of these bodybuilders, I think they are doing blood work, but they're not really checking up the heart with like a CT angiogram. Are you yourself? What do you say to somebody about like heart health? So let's say their cholesterol is high and they go in and they've got a little blockage in there. Are you a fan of statins? Which I think we had a doctor on last week. He was totally against statins. They can stent it. You can get on medications. What is your opinion on someone that's bodybuilding and they have a little blockage? What do they do if they still?
Yeah, unfortunately, statins do the trick, but they can bring other damage. Cholesterol is usually hereditary. It's not your eating habits. What people always think. Triglycerides are a reflection of your eating, and if your triglycerides are low, you didn't mess up your diet that much. But cholesterol is probably, you have to thank your mom and dad. My sister is a doctor, and she used statins, and she suggested for me to take it for a while, and my lipids were perfect, but I didn't feel good on statins, so I stopped them. And I don't even care if my LDL is a little bit higher. So what? I mean, we need cholesterol. It's just transported. I don't feel like, oh my God, it's a heart disease.
Milos, next question, Milos. Are we ever going to see preload, explode, and reload ever again?
You know what?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no,
that's cool OG shit here.
That's also OG shit. Whatever anybody says, I don't care. You know the truth. I was the one that pioneered pre, intra, post workout with the preload, explode, reload. So that was my Coliseum nutritional sciences. Since then, a lot of people make a pre-workout, and there are very many good ones. The principles that they use for intra-workout is the same thing. I might bring it back, actually.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
What?
I don't know why you wouldn't. It's a different era now. We got social media. You don't need marketing. You got social media. You have over a million followers. You are associated with the UFC. Why not bring that back? Because these kids don't know what I'm talking about right now when I say preload, explode, and reload.
Yeah.
You were the first guy to come out with that.
Yeah, that was my whole theory of this hyperemia advantage.
And it was actually delicious too. It was yummy.
Yeah, it was top notch. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for saying it. Yeah, I don't know. Some people don't agree with the intra-workout supplementation, and some people still want to deplete and break it down and then replenish. So they don't want to feed it as you go. I'm against it. I'm always for maximizing. I take every aspect and say, how can I maximize supplementation, nutrition, training, pharmacology, right? So from supplementation for me was no brainer. Any of those supplements that make a difference, any which way, fat burning, anti-catabolic, anabolic, glycogen loading, ATP producing, I put it in. I was actually, now they talk about in these journals, I can pull it out and show you. I was creatine loading for my Night of the Champions 97 in Canada with 50, 60 grams a day for a whole week of creatine, right? And that was triggered by, there was a Weeder in Salt Lake City, a group that we were all there. I remember Chad was there, Lana Murray was there, and all these doctors. And somebody popped the question and asked, how about creatine? Should you use before the contest because it makes you hold water? And then somebody from science department was saying, oh, yeah, it makes you hold water, so maybe you shouldn't. But I said, look, if this is replenishing ATP is cellular energy. So it's intracellular. That's where you want hydration. That's where you want it. And actually, because I wasn't really sure, but I wanted to do it the best possible way. 1 gram of practice is heavier than 10 of theory. I'm going to practice. I'm going to put it. And I did it for 50 grams a day for Canada, and I won. And I was a smaller guy, but creatine really made me fucking fool.
And I suggested to take 20, and 10,000 Armon knows. There's 10,000 of these trolls came in there. You don't know what you're talking about. There's science, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, man, you guys go do what you got to do.
They keep coming up with studies that even proving further how important creatine is, and you've got guys today. I know you guys get it too. You write them on a program. You're like, hey, are you taking everything? Well, I'm taking all my gear, but I'm not taking any of the supplements you've recommended. People skip over the supplements these days. They don't understand. I make an intro workout. It has all the EAAs, creatine, glutamine in there. Like how important intro workouts are. Creatine is. People skip over that.
Now they're suggesting a higher and higher creatine. I can see it. Thank God, right? 30 years ago, protein. We bump up the protein. Oh, you don't need that much protein, right? Now they're 30 years later, like, oh yeah, 100 grams of protein per meal have significantly more muscle protein synthesis than 30. Wow, that's a fucking brilliant. Oh, but we needed to wait for a proof, right? I mean, shit. What makes sense, do it. Don't follow, this science or that, this study or that study. I do remember that biggest marketing genius, Bill Phillips, back in the day with the EAS, he'll say, give me the study, printed study with the dog shit. And I can use dog shit as a supplement. I'm going to sell millions, right? As long as it's study. Some of those studies, right? You can read it. Like, what do you really read it? It's like, oh, then they will put the chart, right? So example, like we need protein in grams, right? So we what do you take? 50, 60 grams of protein per meal, right, King?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But now they're going to put the chart down to milligrams or nanograms, right? So, 1,000 grams, like a million parts. And then they make these fucking differences, right? And they print this in the study. This shit didn't do nothing. It's like spit in the ocean, right? But they bring it down to the measuring from a grams to the milligrams to the nanograms, and now all of a sudden, this is such a valuable supplement. You can be follower leader, and followers are the ones that just read the study. I can follow the study. Why don't you try for yourself?
Me and Armon and I
we
had this conversations before. Armon and I have talked about this 100 times.
Oh.
Milos, later on tonight, when I get a little bit of chance, I'm gonna send you a diet that an IFBB Pro bikini girl sent me to review. Wait till you see what she paid. She paid $5,000 for this guy in Florida to help her. When you see this, as smart as you are and the mind that you are and the experience, I want you to try to translate this diet for me, please. I sent it to Palumbo. He called me back. He couldn't stop laughing. He goes, what is this? I'm like, yeah, she paid $3,000 for this.
Oh, it's crazy. A lot of younger guys today, I'm talking about like early 20s, it's all about scientific studies. And I tell them, I was like, this doesn't make sense. When you're getting ready for a show, you can't say, like, you got 5 different people, they all look the same. They're all doing something completely different. They're like, well, what about this scientific study? They said this. These guys call themselves science-based trainers or gurus or whatever they call themselves. And I think these guys aren't growing. All these younger guys, they're staying the same size. They're not growing. I'm like, yeah, you're listening to every single scientific study out there, and you're not doing the basics. That's why you're not growing. How are you going to listen to a guy that's 180 pounds telling you what to do when all these guys, these bodybuilders for the past, 40, 50, whatever years, or 250, 240 on stage? It's like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, because it has to be a research study done, and then now it makes it valid, and that's how most of those people, once as research has shown, I don't need to have a research or wetness of the water, greenness of the goddamn tree and the grass. I can open my eyes and see it, right? So I'm going to tell you, nutrition 101, that 17-year-old myself figured it out. Okay, protein builds the muscle. Okay, chicken, turkey, fish, beef, eggs, blah, 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 blah. You're going to break down that protein in amino acids. Amino acids goes in the bloodstream. It's going to be, incorporated into tissues and the muscle tissue. So is this my goal, to have a sufficient amount of protein? Yes, it is. What is sufficient? Research has shown 0.36 gram per pound. Fuck off. I'm going to double it, triple it, quadruple it, and then I went to 2 grams per pound.
Yeah.
So I have amino acids constantly coming in the bloodstream. All of you that are listening, don't you want to constantly have a influx of amino acids in the bloodstream? So when muscle needed, and enzyme and hormone and whatever, brain it, you have it. So amino acids from the protein, you have a constant protein. Now the rest is energy, carbohydrates and fat, right? It's not going to build any tissue. It's just energy. You use it, you lose it, perfect, or you're going to store it. Which one you want to store? You don't want to fucking store the fat, right? And if you combine carbs and fat, what I was saying, carbs are going to trigger insulin release, and insulin can trap the fat and store it. So usually it doesn't work if you're not blessed and your body and your metabolism. You can't really have too much carbs and too much fat at the same time, right? But if you have I was saying, carbs with no fat, okay, insulin doesn't have anything to trap and sense it to the fat. And carbs, contrary to what people believe, carbs don't convert into fat readily. It's very seldom. That de novo lipogenesis, I don't want to open a can of worms, but I can. Carbs do not convert. That's why, carbs are enemy. No, carbs with fat are enemy.
Yeah.
Because carbs are going to shoot the glucose, and insulin is going to be released. Glucose can be used as energy, but fat is going to be stored.
Say that one more time. Please repeat what you just said one more time so they hear it. Yeah. Carbs
are not the enemy, and carbs are not the one that's going to convert into the fat.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Very important.
And I had back in the day, I had guys that didn't believe it. And, I would experiment with myself, but then I would have my volunteers as well. So I had those people that were so afraid of carbs. I would give them 5 days of a keto diet. Keto, okay? And on the weekends, I said, like, now you kill yourself with all the carbs that you want and have a zero fat. Okay? Kill yourself with the carbs and protein, yeah, but have a zero fat. They never gain an ounce of body fat. Okay? And they were taking 1,000 grams of carbs also. Of course, it's no fun because if carbs are without fat, shit, we all like to mix it. And that convinced me. And I had 20 people in the Colosseum gym, they like it like this. They control it 5 days of keto, and when you're on keto, you can get away with fats. Okay. So when you're getting, enjoy yourself with the fats that you like to eat, but those fats cannot be with the carbs. Sorry.
Right.
Okay. But then when you switch into 2 days of kill yourself with the carbs if you want, okay, pasta with tomato sauce, no problem. Kill yourself with it, But it has to be no fat. And then there were some pancakes with no fat also, with the jam and all this shit. And I said, I can't believe I'm eating this. I said, well, why you can't believe? But carbs convert to the fat. They don't. Avian species, listen to it, de novo lipogenesis. And then I went to some of those studies and research. Conversion of carbs into fat, birds do this very efficiently. Humans, as research has shown, can maximally convert like 10% of your carbs into the fat. Okay? Oh, so I'm going to be attacked with that. Okay. I don't have those research studies or anything, but this is 20 years ago. I went with Charles Poliquin to this functional endocrinology and then clinical nutrition classes. And there were those experts, they were presenting this. And I was shocked myself because I'm a bodybuilder, right? And I'm still afraid of the carbs and all that stuff. I say 10% maximum of your carbs can be converted to fat on those studies. And I took this for what is worth, and then I tried it. And that's why I gave those people, have as much carbs as you want those 2 days. And that kind of made me believe that this is the truth. So carbs with fat, carbs release insulin traps fat, and you get fat. Carbs with zero fat and protein, you're home free.
Excellent. Armon, are we ready for the speed round?
Shoot, yeah, go ahead.
All right, Milos, that was fantastic, by the way.
Very good.
You are exactly what we thought you would be. You gave a lesson, and I hope these kids out there who always say the same thing, you guys are just, you're doing it the old school way. Nobody takes branch chain aminos. I hope they start to go and they open up a book or two and learn. That's what I hope. All right, so speed round. I'm going to say something. You say the first thing that pops into your head.
Okay? I never did that. Okay.
All right, so here we go. You ready for this?
I guess so.
Okay. Where's the Mecca of bodybuilding?
It's still Venice.
Good answer.
I don't know. No. I'm going to, because listen, I'm going to reconsider this. It's Bev Francis, Steve Weinberger's gym, Powerhouse.
That's your answer.
Yeah, Okay. Because I've been to Venice lately and occasionally, and I don't think it is anymore.
So you don't like the line of bums that are laying down and you can smell the piss from a mile away? You don't like that?
No, but just
they've even cleaned that out though, but still, it's just I went 4 years ago. I went 6 years. It's just it's completely changed.
Yeah.
Hey, back in the 90s when Lee Priest, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, and everybody else, Paul Dillette, everybody was there. It was undoubtedly
the triangle of love.
Yeah.
Gold's Venice, Max Muscle, Firehouse, Hot Skins. I mean, it was all right there, man. What a time that was. What a time. All right. This is supposed to be a speed round.
Yeah.
HGH or IGF-1?
IGF-1.
Who's the smartest bodybuilding guru?
Probably.
Come on, Milos.
I don't want to say it. You can, like Bruce Lee says.
This is a speed round. The first thing that pops in your head. Who's the smartest bodybuilding guru?
I have to exclude myself. You know, like what's his
never
name?
changed.
Bruce Lee
You're
would
never-
say,
Such a
I would
nice.
never say I'm number one, but I'm not going to accept number two. You know,
All right. Well, I'll say it. You. Okay. George Farah or Hani Rambod?
honey,
Okay. 100% Lee Haney versus 100% Dorian Yates. Who wins?
100% Lee Haney. I'm sorry. Even
100% Flex Wheeler, 100% Kevin Levrone. Who wins?
Flex Wheeler,
Favorite cheat meal?
pizza for sure.
I knew you were going to say that. Best leg exercise for size?
Hex squats, okay, in a slow eccentric, slow concentric way.
100% agree. 100%. 100% Hottie versus 100% Phil Heath. Who wins?
Feel hit.
Wayne DeMilia. First name, man.
You know, listen, obviously he's an enemy, so anything in that sense, you know, he was a pro chairman and he did his job his way. I fight with him all the time, but you know, I don't dislike him. He did the job.
How about we say mutual respect? How about that?
Mutual respect? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Iranian bodybuilders.
The most dedicated bodybuilders on planet Earth.
Who's the greatest UFC fighter of all time?
Khabib Nurmagomedov, because I absolutely love him. But John Jones earned it with the GOAT status and never losing the fight. But I'm saying that my guy Tom Aspinall would beat him if they have a fight.
Wow, shit. 100% GSP versus 100% Khabib. Who wins?
Ooh, Khabib.
Over GSP.
Yeah.
Wow. Best era of bodybuilding.
1990s.
Samson Dauda.
Great bodybuilder. That okay. Just speed round. Excalibur. Okay.
Where would Samson Dauda place in the 2001 Mr. Olympia?
The best Samson would be third.
Third place.
2001.
Okay. The Trend Twins.
I don't know him. I don't know them. I'm sorry. I don't know them. I just
Okay. All right. No. You're being honest. Synthol.
The biggest regret of my life. The worst thing anybody can ever think of doing.
What's more dangerous, steroids or alcohol?
Alcohol.
Okay. King Kamali.
The greatest. listen. You got under the skin of so many people that they finally, when they realize who you are, they love you, and as I love.
Appreciate it. Yeah. All right. Best breast front double biceps ever.
Ooh. Robbie Robinson.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you would say Flex Wheeler. I'm surprised. Best back double biceps ever.
Ronnie Coleman.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, front double biceps. There's a lot of. I was scanning, and I do know that I was always so impressed with best Robbie Robinson. But there are many other candidates.
Okay. Ferrari or Lamborghini?
What do I know about fucking? This is cars for rich people. I have no idea. I thought they were the same. No.
All right. Okay, we'll take that. Mercedes or BMW? I know the answer.
Mercedes, of course.
Okay. 100% Nasser versus 100% Big Ramy. Who wins?
Nasser.
It's funny because Chad said Ramy, believe it or not.
No.
100% Nick Walker versus 100% Branch Warren. Who wins?
Branch Warren.
Good answer. Chad Nichols.
Great guru. I mean, I was considering him as one of the sponsors, but you see, you have to have some medical background and study physiology and pharmacology and all that stuff. And I was considering Dave Palumbo, right? Because he's more knowledgeable than bro scientists and bro gurus. And I would be considered also bro guru. It's not that I was studying, to
100% Sean Ray versus 100% Keon. Who wins?
Sean Ray.
Over Keon.
Oh, hell yeah.
Wow. You want to go explain that one? I want to hear this.
Okay. Keon does have a better V taper, okay, but doesn't have a good midsection. And that midsection cannot be hidden in any front poses. And you had to see Sean Ray to appreciate what he had. He was compact, dense, conditioned beyond belief, complete, and every fiber was inserted into the other fiber. There were tie-ins, separations, and striations everywhere, right? Keon, if you shut the lights and take the silhouette, would beat him. But when you turn the lights on, Sean all day.
Do you think he's over? Do you think he's? Oh, sorry, King. Do you think he's Keon is overrated by the sense of people saying he can be the next Mr. Olympia, like open Mr. Olympia?
Keon is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
He is phenomenal, but he's still, like I said, that midsection that cannot be hidden in front legs, front double, front leg spread, abdominals and thighs, right? You can ignore it and not look at it, or you can look at it and consider it as a major part of the body. Sean had the most perfect abs, and he has everything flowing. Keon still back needs to be improved to be considered the open division. When you see him by himself, oh yeah, put him next to Samson or Andrew or somebody, and then you can see it. Is he one of my favorite physiques? Yes, absolutely, but he doesn't beat Sean Ray. No way.
Who had better front quad sweeps than Milos Sarcev?
Rami.
Standing from the front. I'm not talking about big slabs of beef that hang. I'm talking about as a beautiful, because you had one of the best front sweeps ever.
I think so, but it's hard to praise yourself, right?
I'll say you had one of the best. I'll say it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right, and then the final question: best advice you can give to the younger generation?
Think with your own head. Okay, I'm going to quote Bruce Lee. Observe everything and everyone. Accept what is useful. Discard what is useless, and create your own. Whatever you learn from King Kamali, from myself, from whoever, right? Consider it, okay? It's not universal truth. Apply the logical knowledge, not the research. Don't be influenced by, because this study shows that, this is the only thing that I can do. As I was saying about my diet, protein makes sense, your energy according to your energy requirement, right? I'm sure that, King, you have a guys that you have to feed through yin-yang, like give them so much calories to get, and then you have a guys that look at the food and they're massive, so how do you determine this? Like when I would coach you and I would coach somebody like Dennis Wolf, right? It was obscene amount of carbs I had to give him to fill him up for that 2007, right? You heard story, 5,000 carbs in 2.5 days. Crazy. Yeah. The same Dennis Wolf said like a couple of years later, he carved up with 200 grams and he was full. But you inspect what you expect and respond to what is in front of you. Okay. You structure something and you follow, beautiful, everything is happening. Oh, flattish, needs more. Spilling over, take it off, stuff like that.
Milos, the problem with what you just said is it's so correct. And it's so right on. But we're dealing with the new generation. And the new generation would say, you know what they would say to you? I'll just go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to diet me down for a show. You know, and I know, and Armon knows that is stupidity, because each individual, like you said, some people can look at a potato and they gain 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Some people are different. This is how the new generation is going now. They just go to Chat GPT and they say, that's what I'm going to do. That's how I'm going to do.
Is this what they do? I don't know.
Yeah.
I got a few clients and it dials them in. Hey, I'm 16 weeks out. What should I take? Hey, I'm backstage. How much water should I drink? Chat GPT will tell you.
Really?
Like,
Yeah, you got to check it out, bro.
People tell you how much to drink backstage. Oh my God.
Yeah. I weigh this much. How many carbs should I take?
What I think of Mike Sarcev's book. I love it. I mean, I love the guy. It makes a lot of sense. I have the good research. Funny as hell. Nothing but praises for the guy.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Armon, anything else?
No, it was awesome. Thank you so much,
You're
Milos.
the best, Milos. You're the absolute best.
Anytime, guys. So we can repeat this. I kind of like this quick answers, but it got me in trouble. Now when I reconsider, okay, who would you say front double biceps?
Front double biceps? I'll say Flex Wheeler.
Really? Yeah.
The Flex Wheeler, what was the year when he won the Arnold Classic that he was just
93. 93.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, for me, that is bodybuilding. Okay. If you go to Wikipedia and say, give me a picture of the most perfect bodybuilder from the best pose ever, that front double bicep. Now, Sean Roden, rest in peace, great front double bicep. You know, like you said, Robbie Robinson, great front double bicep. But for me, front double.
Yeah, Flex. Okay, so 93 Arnold. It was a narrow version of Flex Wheeler, right? He was ripped to pieces, but up until then, you could see he didn't have a width, okay? And in front double biceps, you have to pop the lats out. You know, so when you think and you teach people what you want to show in each and every pose, in the front double, I say you can focus on, a few things, but upper body-wise, you have to pop the lats and then peak the biceps. So he had a perfect arms, but he didn't have really that much of the width. So somebody with a more width, could maybe beat him. The best picture from 93 Arnold Classic Flex Wheeler was kneeling, twisting back from behind. That's the best bodybuilding pictures of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. Still love you, Milos.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Milos. That was awesome, and you explained a lot of different things that people ask a lot. They were very interested in insulin, talk protocols, and
look, I'm sure you're gonna get the people that don't agree with me, and maybe down the line we can have another one, and I can answer those questions. Listen, I hope you see that I'm generic. And what's on my mind, I say it. I would not preach about insulin if I didn't research it. I'm going to tell you just very quickly the last thing. How did I even learn how to do the insulin? Nobody gave me the protocol. I just learned about insulin and insulin being used in Russia and DDR, Eastern Germany, for athletes. I got some protocols that they were using. I said, like, why the hell would they use insulin? Oh, anabolic hormones stored everything. Okay, but how do you use it? Okay, listen. So imagine this is back in early 90s. Just okay, I would need to inject it, and then what's going to happen? My blood sugar level is going to drop, right? So I have to maintain it. Nobody told me how many grams of carbs I'm supposed to use per unit. And the one that I was using when it's going to peak, right? So I started with, 3 grams per unit. And I get hypo, like, oh, shit, I need to take right? So I guess that was not enough. So I would put the 5 grams per unit, right? And get in hypo again. And shit like this, right? So I determined back in the day, there was about 10 grams that would cover it. Later on, I realized 6-7 grams can cover it. But when I went into publication Muscle Media 2000 back in the day, and the first insulin article, I wrote it. It was Professional X. because I was on the Weider contract, so I couldn't really use my name. But that article was my article, okay? And how to cover it, 10 grams per unit is written for the first time. Back then, 92, 3, whatever, this American Diabetic Association did not have that explanation anywhere. How much, because I was looking for it. I wanted, tell me how much carbs do I need to take and when, right? There was no information. And then after that was published, 10 grams per unit, later I found an American Diabetic Association. They had a 10, and they didn't even have a 15 grams per unit.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. What was your name? Professor X?
Professor X, yeah.
You know, I was the masked muscle man for Muscle Mag.
Okay, no, I didn't know.
That was me.
Yeah. I was Professor
I used
X.
to tear people apart. The good old days.
Good old days. You were never light in your criticism, huh?
Everyone loved me later. That's all that counts, man.
Okay. Quick questions. Let me ask you. Okay, quick questions. Andrew Jack. That fast, quick, whatever you called it.
Wide.
Speed round. Yeah.
Wide.
That's it. Okay. Samson.
Potential.
Derek.
Short.
Hadi.
Ripped to shreds.
2025 Mr. Olympia.
Samson.
There you go. All right. I would. Oh, hardest training bodybuilder?
I would put myself against anybody on this planet.
Even Ronnie Coleman?
Even Ronnie Coleman. There's no way. You tried to kill me when I came.
Yeah, I know. But okay, on that note.
Armon, he tried to literally, he knew that I was strong. I had that unusual strength, especially in pulling movements. Mm-hmm. He did these crazy giant sets where I had to get up on my toes and go down. He tried to, and I told him halfway through it, I said, Milos, I will die before I quit.
Yeah, I know.
I'm telling you that right now. You're wasting your time. I'm not going to quit.
I love it. Okay, on that note, when Dorian in many interviews says that he was the hardest working, nobody would outwork him. So what do you think of that?
I think Dorian's workout, I saw Blood and Guts, and I saw with him, it was kill it with one incredibly hard set, and then I know his mentality of building up to that. He misled people when he said it's one set. No, it wasn't. He was leading up to that one kill. He was doing pellet, gunshot. That's what he was doing. I get it. I don't think he was the hardest. I'm telling you, I myself, I've seen when Hadi does his 1 week before the Olympia and he's squatting 7 plates, drop 6 plates, I was doing that when I was 18. That doesn't impress me. I was doing the same thing when I was 18 years old. I think it's stupid to do it 1 week before the Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, it's way too risky.
Yeah, it's way too risky. But
he does some crazy stuff right before the show.
Yeah. But that's what.
But as far as the philosophy goes, I agree with you. My evolution, the King Kamali evolution of training has been, nobody puts emphasis on those fucking negatives. It's those negatives that make you go, because right now my legs are still big. They should be small because I don't go, but what I do now is I go, when I normally would do, let's say 10 plates on each side on the leg press, I go down to six plates, and I go 3, 2, 1, and then come up with a 2 count. 1, 2. Mm-hmm. But the entire time, now here's the key. The entire time, I'm looking at my quads as I'm doing this. Yeah. And I hear your goddamn voice because I watched all your YouTube videos. Yeah. Come on, you're going to do it. Come on, slow it down, King. Slow it down. I can hear that voice pounding it in my head. So it's the negative. So I agree with your style of training. It's very effective.
Okay, let me then share one more thing training-wise for listeners. Okay, and I'm going to maybe open a can of worms for you. But I said that before. There are 4 parts of every repetition, right? You have a eccentric, okay? You have completely lengthened, concentric, and completely shortened, right? So this is in every exercise, every rep you do it. So now the tempo that you say, okay, you use tempo, slow down tempo on eccentrics, right? And you do whatever, 4 seconds or whatever, it doesn't matter. And then you do a couple of seconds concentrically. I would play with the tempo in all 4 parts, okay? So eccentrically, you can go down 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5, 6, 10 on some exercises. Holy hell, right? In stretch position, all the way down. Sometimes makes no sense to be that stretch overload. You go right up, but there are some exercises that stretch overload. Oh, lengthen the muscle is beautiful. So I do the same thing. 1 second to 10 seconds, doesn't matter. I change the tempo concentrically, right? Super slow hack squats on the way up. The slow biceps preacher curls. The concentrics slow. Oh my God, you're changing the tempo in concentrics. It's a nightmare that I'm sure that you can, okay, for the right exercise, not everything, and then peak contraction, squeeze the juice out of the lemon, right? Hey, disagreements are good. Okay, I didn't read it.
No, I was just saying good job.
Okay. I couldn't read it. It was too fast.
Right.
So I would just throw that in for everybody. Play with all 4 parts with the tempo. There are some peak contractions, right? King, like everybody squeeze chest, right? You can squeeze that a little bit or more. Like a lot of people don't squeeze the life out of it. They squeeze it, but not life out of it. Biceps, right? You squeeze it, but not that extra cramping squeeze. So those are kind of things that anybody can throw into their training.
Yeah. 2.5 hours, Armon. We had him. 2.5 hours.
That's the longest one. Yeah, that's awesome.
One, yeah. Milos, love you, brother. Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Armon, what do you got to say?
That was amazing. We would love to have you back. Great info, and I think a lot of people out there needed to, it's funny. Someone said, "I love how Milos doesn't know who the twins even are." So that was great. That's awesome.
The only thing that I heard about Trent twins, but I never seen them anywhere. I don't know.
just you saying Trent twins is funny. Please.
They had the longest. They had the longest line at the Arnold. Milos. They had the longest line at the Arnold. These guys.
Okay, I mean, I guess they're popular. I don't know.
Don't even talk about it, man. Don't even.
I mean, I'm not much influenced about popularity of anybody. You have to do something to make me get my attention to you. So I don't know if they're Trent twins because they love Trent. What is it?
Don't stop saying it. It doesn't sound right coming out of your mouth. You're the mind. You're Milos, man. Don't say those. This bothers.
It doesn't even make sense.
We'll call it a night, man. Milos, thank you very much. Armon, Milos, I love you like your brother, man. Thank you.
Right, me too. There you go.
Thank you so much, Milos.
Anytime. Call me back when you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Take care, bro.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. I don't know how to get out of it.